Hi, I'm Jeff Morris, and I'm the lead product manager for enterprise marketing. I also look after IT pro audiences, and I have next to me Anders Brown, who is the lead product manager for our development efforts. And what we'd like to do today is to kick off a series of Office 10 presentations that we'll be doing over the next month and a half based on the EKM countdown process. And what we want to be able to do is walk through today is do a high-level overview of Office 10 and then explain to you what we'll be doing over the next month and a half to hopefully give you the right information about Office 10 as we move forward. Going forward. See if we can go. Okay, so on what I want to do right now is just spend a minute and just kind of walk through what we're going to do based on the EKM Countdown series. We really want to make sure that we can give you a good focus and a good overview of basically all the Office 10 technologies, which includes things like the core technologies and tools, things like XML, web components, smart tags, Office Designer, digital dashboards, all the deployment and maintenance tools that we have, and things in those areas that we typically won't be able to cover in a normal Office 10 presentation, but that we want to spend an hour to 2 hours on each of these technologies, giving you the really good insights of what they're about and how to use them. The other area that we'll focus on is just on the core applications. And what we'll be able to do there is, again, go through Excel, go through PowerPoint, go through Front Page, go through Word and those types of products, so that we give you a really good in-depth overview of each one of those products and all the new and cool features that we have in Office 10. So you have a really good understanding of those technologies. This should enable us through this series is we are looking at doing an airlift in February. So February 2001, what we want to do is pull together a 2 to 3 day airlift that will focus on reviewing everything there is to know about Office 10. But this series of countdowns should be a great preparation in getting us there. So with that said, what I want to do is just start with a little bit of background on what Office 10 is and kind of how we set out to build this product. With all products, it takes about a year and a half. There's a group that usually about a year and a half out starts to look at what are we going to do for the next release of our products. And we do a lot of internal focus work, external focus work. We work with a lot of our partners. And we try to figure out what are the compelling things that we need to do to move our product forward. And with Office 10, there was really 3 key focal areas. One area around individuals, one area around teams, and one area around organizations. What we learned with individuals was that Office today, and we all know this, is a great product, has tons and tons of features in it, but it's still one of those products that you really don't use everything that's inside the product. Meaning if you go into Excel, you probably don't use all the Excel features. If you go into Word, you probably only use 15 to 20% of the Word features on a typical letter or something that you're working on. But by learning those features and having those features more intuitive, more discoverable, you'll end up getting a lot more out of the product. So we learned early on from customers that they were really yearning for a way to get more out of the product. They knew there was a lot more to offer there, but they really didn't know a lot of the features or have time to go out and figure those out. So we'll be able to show you today a lot of those areas where we worked on better intuitiveness of the product, better discoverability, and things like that. Another area that we worked on with individuals was just improving overall reliability, so that when you had a document crash or an Excel sheet crash on you, that you'd be able to recover as much of that information as possible. So a big area around reliability and data recovery we focused on. And then finally, another area that we looked at with individuals was just a deeper integration with web technologies. We found a lot of people were actually producing letters in Word and saving them in HTML and publishing them out to an internet. So having great integration with web-type technologies, having full fidelity with HTML is super important. It was super important not only in Word, but across all the other applications that we have. In the area of teams, we looked at primarily how teams work, and it's a lot to do with a document collaboration. Being able for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people to get together and collaborate over a project, over documents, or what have you. So we looked at how we could build out that technology from a web infrastructure, but also from a way that people collaborate today. We'll show you technologies where The collaboration method is email, and we'll show you how that we can route a document and track changes and merge changes and things like that. But really a good focus around Teams is around how we can better improve collaboration efforts. And then finally in organizations, a big effort was on, and we did this in 2000, but focused on how to make sure that they can easily deploy this technology and maintain it. And again, that it was highly reliable for large deployments and large rollouts of this, that their users were up and running and stayed running. So a lot of efforts were focused around that. But we also looked at how we could exploit the platform. Meaning there's a lot of technologies in the Office product today that make it very compelling for corporations to take our product and move forward and build really compelling business solutions. And so we'll spend a little time talking about that. So I want to review some of the features that we did for Office 10 for individuals, and then I'm going to spend a lot of time just demoing this. So I'll have Anders go through and demo some of these. But there are a few technologies, again, if you think about discoverability and making it more intuitive for users, there's a few technologies that you'll see in our first set of demos. One is a technology called Smart Tags. And Smart Tags, it's probably easier to see them demoed than for me to talk about. But they are ways for people to get access to information quite easily, or ways for people to discover features about something they're doing as they're working through a document that will help them fix a problem or help them move forward and have a richer experience with the product. The other area is task panes. And task panes, and again, as you see them, they'll become much more apparent of what the purpose is. But task panes they pop up. They're available workspace besides a document or a spreadsheet you might be working on. They'll be on the screen. And they are really populated with probably the tools and things that you're using at that point in time within the document. And again, you'll see that, and we'll work through that. Office Watson is another technology that we have for helping people report errors back to Microsoft. It's a technology that's built kind of on the reliability side and the data recovery side. But a lot of times when a user has a severe crash, it's hard for them to identify what happened or be able to relay that information back to a product support person so they can figure out potentially what the problem was. With Office Watson, it's a technology that on severe errors, it captures it. It will allow the user to either send that back to Microsoft, and there's no privacy issues here. It's purely just capturing the error and sending it back to us. Or in corporations, it will allow the user to send that error message back to potentially an operational area or a product support area inside of a corporation so that they could track the error and provide feedback to the user and potentially a fix. The other areas that we have is integrated search. We're able to search across virtually anything now out of Office, which is a really neat thing to do, and we'll show that as well. Speech is another technology that we've moved into the product. We're able to do text-to-speech conversion. We're able to do commands on voice. And a neat feature in Excel with speech is a way for, if you're entering a lot of data, is for a way to turn speech on and have it actually repeat back the data inputs that you're doing. So we've incorporated speech throughout the product. And then we have just a whole variety of different online tools for the end users that will show some of those areas. But what I'd like to do now is instead of sitting here talking to you about all these things, is actually have Anders go ahead and demo some of these to you today. So I'm going to switch over to Anders now.
Thanks, Jeff. As Jeff said, my name is Anders Brown, and I'm the lead product manager for our developer-related efforts in Office Marketing. So Jeff looks after the IT audience, and I look after the developer audience. I'm super excited about the technologies that Office 10 has in it. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through kind of a demo. First of all, just looking at the things that individuals really will get right out of the box. So not even going into the teams or organizations. We will get there, but this is just kind of a top-level look at what those features are that we think when you open up the Office product and install it, you're just going to be amazed at the differences in the features that really come to life. A couple disclaimers. One is we're not going to cover everything. I can tell you that right now. Over the next few months, as Jeff said, we definitely will drill into the features, and we'll have entire sessions dedicated to things like Smart Tags and XML and some of the features that are right there out of the box. So I'm just going to do a high-level look here, and then we'll turn it back over to Jeff. So right here out of the gate, this is Office 10. So when you launch Word 10, this is the kind of user interface you'll get. The thing that Jeff had talked about is we really have focused on making it easier for the end user. So really exposing those features that people know they want to use, but sometimes just have a challenge kind of navigating the menu and getting to what they're trying to get to. So right here on the right-hand side, and hopefully folks on the screen can see this, you'll see this new feature called the task pane. The task pane is really all about providing relevant information based on how the user is interacting. So here you'll see that I'm trying to open a new document, and there's a number of options here. I can either open a document for something that's I've looked at before, I can open up a new document, or I could definitely go grab any of the templates that we ship in the box, as well as the templates up on Microsoft.com with our very popular Office Update service. So what I'm going to do is actually open up a Europe expansion memo that I've been working on behalf of AdventureWorks. I'll go ahead and I'll blow this up a little bit so everyone can see it. And what we're looking at here is basically just a document that I've been working on. So one of the most common things that everybody works on is formatting. So again, if I go under Format, Styles and Formatting, you'll see that rather than throwing a modal dialog box like we might have done in the past, we actually leverage this task pane. So again, because I've changed and I'm focused on formatting, I get this task pane that essentially would allow me to select any text, for instance, expanding. It could tell me the actual text and the properties associated with that right here, but if I wanted to change that, for instance, to Arial 16 point, I could go ahead and click that. It would just change dynamically. I'll go ahead and change that back. So again, it's just a way of taking advantage of this task pane and providing the user relevant actions based on their context. Another thing that's very common that people want to do is they actually want to compare text. So we've actually added an option which is reveal formatting, again, using this concept of the task pane. So what I've done here is I've kept my focus on the word expanding, and you'll see over here that it gives me the properties associated with that text. So this is very similar to some of the reveal tags that we've had a lot of questions on in the past. Now what's very cool about this feature is that I can actually compare that to some other piece of text. So if I select this compare to another selection box, you'll see that I can now double click, let's say, on research, and now it not only tells me what my original selection was, but also what the selection I want to compare to. You'll see down here in the task pane, it now not only gives me just the properties, but rather the differences. Of course, what I could do from this point is I could select expanding, or likewise we could select research, and I could actually go ahead and apply the formatting of that original section. So if I wanted to change that, you'll see down here that research is actually changed to match that original formatting, and now the only differences that are being exposed is the actual indentation. So I'll go ahead and undo that. But you can see that, again, it's really the whole task pane is all about bringing those features to the forefront based on the context of how the user is working. One of the areas that I want to look at now is kind of how we work between Office applications. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over, I have this financial data section here. I'm going to actually go over into Excel, and I have some financial data here, and I'm going to view the task pane. I'm going to bring up the clipboard, what our new clipboard looks like. So what we have now on the clipboard is the ability to actually put up to 24 items on this clipboard. And what you'll see here is that we've done a much better job of letting the user understand what that item is. So I actually want to embed these top two rows right here. So I'll do a paste on that. And then I'll go ahead and I'll actually copy this one as well. These two, I might want that as well. And you'll see again that actually over here we get a much richer representation of what those items are on the clipboard. If I go back to Word now, I can actually take a look at the clipboard, show the clipboard, and I can actually just go ahead and I can select that and paste that right in place. So one of the biggest differences here with Office 10 versus Office 2000 is this new feature called Smart Tags. And we'll talk a lot about the extensibility of Smart Tags and how they can be customized. But here what you see is when I pasted that Excel, I actually got a new on-object UI, this little element here that hopefully everyone can see that recognizes that I've actually pasted from Excel. So if I go ahead and I click on that, I have a number of options. I can either keep the source formatting, which you saw I just pasted exactly what was in Excel. I can match the destination table style, so if I wanted to convert this into a Word table, I could do that, or I could just keep text only. So it's really the ability to say, we copied from Excel into Word, and we might want to do something different with that right at the time of pasting. So it's really trying to give the user some more control over what they're getting into their documents. Another interesting area is in our autocorrect. So everyone's aware that in Office 2000 we had fairly aggressive autocorrect options to the extent that sometimes people didn't like the autocorrect option. So one of the things we've done is, again, try to give some control back to the end user. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start a list here. And I'm going to say, it says these are not as high priority, but they also need to get done. So one of the things I think we need to do is schedule a meeting on March 4th. So, of course, you can see what happens. It interpreted the schedule abbreviation as the end of a sentence and capitalized A, and then it also realized that my March 4th or 3/4 was a fraction, and went ahead and corrected that to a fraction. So in this case, I didn't want either of those to really take place. So if I hover over this, again, you'll see this same kind of a new on-object UI called a smart tag. And what this allows me to do is, at the time of formatting, go ahead and say, you know what, I actually want you to undo that fraction. Or even better, it even says, just stop automatically doing fractions completely. And then, of course, I could go to the broader control panel here and select these options as well. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to stop, undo that one fraction. Likewise over here with auto capitalize. So here I can say undo that automatic capitalization. I can stop auto capitalization of just the first letter of sentences, or again, if I never want auto capitalization to happen, I can go ahead and I can change that. So in this case, I'll just go ahead and undo that. So you can see I can quickly and easily get right back to what I wanted to do. So all of these features are really addressing these concepts of bringing more to the forefront so users can get more value, and also putting the user back into control of their actual product and really providing them the context and the features based on what they're doing. So what I want to do now is actually go back over to Excel and show a few highlights of what we've done in Excel for the end users. One of the very cool things that we've done is we have augmented our web queries feature. So one of the things that's very common people like to do is they like to cut and paste from the internet back into any of the Office applications. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I've gone up and pre-populated this stock page with a few of our competitive stocks that I might want to go ahead and copy those and put them into Excel in my workbook here. If I go ahead and I paste these right from Internet Explorer, normally I would just get the default formatting that Excel would provide to those. But again, I get this concept of a smart tag. So in this case, it says I can keep the source formatting, which is what you see here. I can match the destination, which is what's here in Excel. Or I can create a refreshable web query. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what that allows me to do is really bind Excel and the cells within Excel to a web page. So here you can see this is our new user interface for web queries. And what's happened is it's actually pulled that web page down and parsed the tables. So as I hover over the HTML tables, you'll see that it gives me the options to actually select those to download. So what I'll do is I'll actually come over here and select the table that has the stock quotes in it, select that, and say import. So what this is doing is, again, bringing this data, binding this front UI to Excel, and then what it lets me do is actually lets me go ahead and refresh this. So you can imagine a scenario where if I was a financial institution and I wanted updated stock quotes inside an Excel spreadsheet, we'd have a very good solution for them here, because I could, for instance, update this every minute. And dynamically, as I'm simply watching this spreadsheet, these stocks would continue to update. The other thing that we've done that's been great is added some of the features that we've had in other products for a long time. So for instance, here's a cash flow statement. One of the things that I might want to do is put the total on this. So if I hit equals and then do sum, you can see immediately what happens is I get the tooltip. So this is a great feature that really tells the user right there what they should use as parameters for this. What I'll go ahead and I'll do is I'll just go ahead and select all these and hit enter. And what you can see is now I have another smart tag. So for those of you who are watching closely, what happened is I didn't select all the cells that I needed to. So this is actually dynamically recognized based on that logic that it looks like this formula maybe has omitted an adjacent cell. And sure enough, if I double click here, you can see that I really wanted to get that negative 150 in there, and I didn't. So I can go back to this smart tag and actually have them update the formula dynamically. So again, really trying to put the user back in control. You'll see that automatically changed, and then we can go ahead and continue working. So in this case, we're just trying to do some work on behalf of the user to expose the right features and functions with respect to tooltips, and then really put them back in control. Finally, the last thing I wanted to show you in Excel is a new concept called Watch Window. So I know a ton of us have in the past always had huge spreadsheets that you want to change some cells up in the upper left-hand corner, and then in the bottom right-hand corner, you actually want to see how that value changes. So what we can do now is I have my inventory spreadsheet here for AdventureWorks. I can go all the way down here to the bottom of this, right there. And what I can do is I can say Add Watch Window. And so what this does is actually lets me keep track, and I can go ahead and just put that down there, of that cell value while I move around the spreadsheet. So for instance, let's say I was working with Jeff on this, and we had the inventory off by a factor of 100. So right here, I change that to 11,000. When I hit return, you'll see that the value down in the watch window is actually changed. So we can add as many of these cells as we actually would like. Here I can add that actual value to the watch window, and we can continue on and on. So another great feature to really help people get things done in Excel. I wanted to spend a few minutes just talking about the great new things in Outlook. We'll go ahead and take a look at Outlook here. One of the number one most requested features was the ability to color code my appointments. So simply put, you can see here that I've mocked up a calendar, a prep for webcasts, lunch with Jeff, and then the webcast we're having right now. So you can see I've color coded these on each item depending on what level of priority they were, or whether they required preparation or whatnot. So here I can go ahead and add another appointment just to show you how this works. We can say post MTB or post webcast, and I can go ahead and label this as important, and you'll see that it'll assign it to red. So really a very simple feature, but something that a lot of users have been asking for. The other area of focus is helping people set up meetings and collaborate better when they're trying to get together. So one of the most common frustrations for people is, and I'm sure many of you have had this happen, where you want to schedule plus someone for a meeting, and what happens is they can't make it. The only option at that point is to hit decline. So with this new feature in Outlook called Propose New Time, what can happen is we can actually help that problem. So here you can see Christy Drummond has actually scheduled a bunch of us to try to get together to talk about the airlift that Jeff had mentioned. And we have now not only accept tentative decline as we normally would, but we have a propose new time feature. So this allows me to go ahead and say, you know what, I can't make that, but let's go ahead and take a look if everybody can find a new time. Shows me all the people that are there, and then I can go ahead and I can propose a new time for this. Now the thing is that it still keeps Christy in control of the meeting. So we haven't lost control of the meeting. She still owns that meeting, but it's just a way for us to collaborate back and forth so that she doesn't have to keep sending out Schedule Plus requests. So just another great feature that we think will really help folks. Another couple things that unfortunately we don't have quick demos for, but we'll definitely cover over the next few months, is instant messaging. So integrated instant messaging into Outlook. So you could instant message someone at the very least if you just wanted to get a quick piece of information to them, as well as digital dashboards. So digital dashboards are native in Outlook, so the ability to create web parts and to consume web parts is definitely a focus area for us in Office 10. So some very exciting things for the end user. What I'd like to do at this point is turn it back over to Jeff. We'll talk some more about Teams, and then we'll do some more demos as well. I might want to comment quickly that if folks do have questions out there, we will be taking some questions at the end. We'll just get through this, and then we can have some Q&A.
Thanks, Anders. So as you can see, for individuals, we've done just a great amount of work there to help the individual be more productive through some intuitive things around smart tags and task panes, and as you saw in Excel, where not in an obtrusive way, but when Anders was doing the sum formula, a way that it popped up the formula and helped him work through that. A lot of great, just intuitive discoverability aspects of the product around there that should help end users be very productive with the product and move forward. So lots of things to talk about, and as we started off this program today, is that, again, there's so much in Office 10 that we want to talk to you about. We're just kind of giving you a very high-level overview of things. So there's great technologies in Excel that we won't talk about today around OLAP and a lot of business intelligence, business analysis type scenarios around access, around the web components. But those will all be things that we'll discuss over the next month and a half through individual webcasts on those types of technologies. So today we're just covering some high-level things that we think are very interesting in the product that we want to show you. So stay tuned for more over the next month and a half. What I'd like to do now is just move on and talk a little bit about teams and groups. One of the things that we learned, and it was kind of a key focus area, was around teams and groups. It was just kind of the behavior around collaboration. And working at Microsoft, and I do this today all the time, is when you want to go send a document for review, you typically use email. You typically don't go out and use a web-based metaphor quite yet, just because you've done that and you've continued to do that in the past, and that's just the way you collaborate. So we, in Office 10, we realized that. We said, great, email is a way people collaborate today, so let's take that as the lowest common denominator. And we'll show you some features where we can actually do email-based send for review. So you can take a document, send it around for review, have people make changes to it, and then be able to get that document back and merge it all together, versus getting a document back and having to cut and paste and kind of a hard merge, if you will. So we've spent a lot of time using email as a collaboration vehicle, especially when routing documents around for changes. The other areas that we worked on too is a new technology called it's called SharePoint. We've referred to it in the past as OWS, but it's been officially named SharePoint, and it's a way for people to collaborate quickly. It's out of the box, predefined a website that will pop up for you. It's a collaboration site, if you will, that allows you to go out and create links and be able to store documents there, be able to subscribe to documents. So it's a way for you to easily set up collaboration type situations with team members or one-on-one, if you will, with partners or customers, etc., to share and collaborate over a project or a document, or actually build an environment for your team to have out there for a while. And we'll show you those technologies as well. They're very compelling, again, straight out of the box with Office 10. And then the other area that we focused on in the team collaboration space is we actually have a tool called Office Designer. But we want to make sure that Office 10 is a great client, a great front end to other technologies that Microsoft has. One is the Exchange 2000 architecture. So we want to make sure that Office 10 is a great client for our customers to build compelling collaboration solutions on top of Exchange. We have a tool called Office Designer that will help them build these collaboration sites and take advantage of back-end architectures like Exchange and even Tahoe. So without talking more on this, I'd just like to, again, flip this over to Anders and have him walk you through some of the demos on this.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. So again, as Jeff said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the core features for Teams and really helping people collaborate together. The two main things I'm going to cover is the Send for Review feature and the document revisioning features, as well as the Office web server, and now what's called SharePoint actual product. So I'm going to go back into my my document here that I've been working on. And let's say I get this document to a point where I actually want to send it around for review. As Jeff said, normally a lot of us would actually just save this to our local drive here, attach it as in an email, send the email around, and then really what happens when all the feedback comes, we're kind of left trying to parse through exactly who had what changes and try to pull the changes together. So what we have now in Office 10 and Outlook 10 is the option to actually not just send this to a mail recipient or as an attachment, which we've had in the past, but actually send this specifically for review. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this. And what this will do is actually automate Outlook and launch Outlook. And it pre-populates an email that says, please review Europe expansion memo, and then just says, please review the attached document, and actually attaches the document. So this looks very similar to what we maybe would have done in the past, but there's some smarts in this email that we'll get to in a second that really mark it as for review. So I'll go ahead and I'll send this to Doug Yoder and David Jaffe, both of who are on the Office marketing team, and say, hey, I want you guys to take a look at this. So we could go ahead and we could actually send that mail off. And then what will happen is they'll actually have the mail in their inbox. So we'll just assume they're off, you know, making revisions, taking a look at that document. I'm going to go back into my inbox and see what I have to work on. So I notice up here that I actually now have been the recipient of a document that someone wanted me to review. So here Doug Yoder has actually sent me an email message, much like I just sent one back to him that says, hey, Anders, please review the attached document. So all I did, remember now, is I just opened up that email, and I'm going to go ahead right from this actual email, double-click on this Word document. Will give me the option to go ahead and open this. Now, one thing you're going to notice here is that as soon as this document opens up, the revision marks are already on. So up here, our option to track changes has already been turned on. So the point is, there's been some smarts in that email that say, hey, this document is actually ready to be, or wants some feedback on it, so let's go ahead and turn those revision marks on. So let's say I wanted to go ahead and change, I'll make this a little bigger here. Let's say I wanted to go ahead and change Anywhere USA to actually Redmond, Washington. So one of the things you'll actually notice here immediately is our new revision marks. So unlike in Office 2000, where we actually just put those revisions in line and then put strikeout through the text that was deleted, we actually went back to our users and said, well, how are people really doing revisions? 9 out of 10 of us right now on a piece of paper, when you're asked to review something, put the revisions in the margin. So that's exactly what we've done with Office 10. We've actually said, you know what, let's go ahead and keep actually change that text right there, so you'll see that Anywhere USA has gone away and Redmond, Washington is actually there. But then over here in the margin, it says deleted. So that means that when Doug gets this back, he'll know exactly what I did. Let's say I wanted to actually put a comment in here. I could highlight equipment, select insert comment, and then again, over here on the right-hand side of the margin, I can say we should define equipment better. So you can imagine that if I was doing something, maybe I wanted to change the formatting here, go ahead and make that bold. We could actually get some interlineations there in the right-hand margin. So the key is that this is really the way that we're actually allowing people to edit, take a look at documents, review them, and get them back. Now remember, I haven't left the email that I started in. I double-clicked in Word, launched Word, brought the email up. Let's say I went through, I actually made some changes, and I wanted to send this back to Doug. Right from this document, I can go ahead and I can click Reply with Changes. What that will actually do is wrap all this document up, wrap up the changes, and then would actually send this document out right here. I could put any comments I wanted there, and then Doug would go ahead and get that email in his inbox. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my inbox. I'm going to see if potentially Doug and David have taken a look at the document that I sent out. So again, here we see my inbox, and I can see that actually both of them have actually replied. So now I'm going to be on the receiving end of a document that actually already had some changes to it. So I'll open up Doug's email message here. He had taken a look at my Europe expansion memo, and I'll see that he said, please see my changes attached. And here's the original document that I'd sent out. So again, because it was sent for review, there's some smarts behind this actual document. I'll go ahead and I'll open this document, and it will actually know that this was sent around for review. So I'll get this Microsoft Word message that says, this was sent for review. Do you actually want to superimpose the changes from Doug into the original document? So I'll go ahead and I'll click yes. My document will come up here in theory. Here we go. Let's try that again. So I'll go ahead and open this up. And I'll merge those in, and let's close that one off and see what we can do here. Let's open up David's and see if he can get some changes. Okay, so at least, David's works here. So you can see that when I open that up, it actually asks me again, do you want to merge these changes? And immediately what I see is that David's changes have now been superimposed. So for instance, here's a comment from David Jaffe. So the major point here is that if we had multiple reviewers, we could actually go ahead and superimpose all those changes of that document in the main document. So it really relieves me of having to navigate between all the different feedback that I'm getting, and really just puts it in one place. What I can do from this point, actually, if I'd like, is go ahead and take a look at different reviewers. So if I wanted to look at, let's say I wanted to look at just what David had put in there, I can just go ahead and select David Jaffe. We'll see that he made just one comment. If I wanted to see, for instance, what David and Doug had done, or better yet, see if what myself and David have done, we can see all these different revision marks. So again, I could go ahead and I could right-click and accept these as I wanted to, but the point is really that we're trying to help this revision process right from the environment that people are working in, so that people don't have to be in the middle of navigating all these review changes. So we think this is a very exciting feature to really help teams kind of collaborate on documents. The other main area that I wanted to spend a few minutes on is talking about SharePoint, or as we commented, what was called Office Web Server. What I'm going to bring up here is Office Web Server, or SharePoint. So this is one that I've actually installed, and I'm just going to walk you through it. Recognize, and the important point here is that this is essentially out of the box. With about a 3-click install, you effectively get an out-of-the-box intranet site that you can use for your teams to collaborate and keep documents and keep information together. So this will be coming up here in a minute. So here is a SharePoint server, and this is exactly what it looks like after you've installed it. It basically, again, is an out-of-the-box intranet that's fully customizable. So here you can see on the right-hand navigation, or the left-hand navigation, I have shared documents, discussion, contacts, tasks, and I have a top-level navigation around here. So one of the things you can do immediately is you can customize this. So I'll go ahead and I'll select Site Settings. I'll say, you know what, I want to change the name here. I'm going to call this the Office 10 webcast site. I'm going to go ahead and I'll click OK. So notice that this was just, the customization part is just right here as part of the process. We come back, I'll go back to Home, and you can actually see that that name has been changed. Likewise, I could add an announcement, for instance. So if I was part of this team, I could go ahead and I could say Office 10 webcast today. I could go ahead and I could select when this would expire, so this notification would actually go away. Let's say we just want to expire at the end of the month. Go ahead and save this. And when I go ahead and I look back on the announcements, I can see that I've actually just added that announcement. So it's a fully customizable, as part of the product, intranet application. Another couple things you can do just at the high level is post documents. So if I wanted to, I could actually post Office documents in and out of this that then people could navigate to and grab those documents. Discussion boards. So if I wanted to have threaded news groups, I could go ahead and I could start a new discussion board. Go ahead and give it a name, Office 10. Go ahead and create that. And what will happen is that the new discussion board will actually manifest itself there in the actual intranet site. And there we go. So I could add a new discussion, and anyone that had access to this could. Likewise, we can do lists. So there's a number of different things here. We could add contact lists, task lists, events, announcements. And then we have a number of just arbitrary pages that you might want for your particular site. So surveys are one of the most interesting ones. So if we had a set of people that wanted to work together on a survey, we could actually build a survey, get some user input on our team, and then go ahead and get the data we wanted. And again, we have this fully customizable site settings, so we can manage users, send invitations to join the site, modify the content. It's really just an out-of-the-box way for us to bring teams together to really store their information, their contacts, their documents. And we are getting an enormous amount of people internal right now using these. So all of Office Marketing. In fact, if everybody out there went up to ODSG2, you'd actually see this live on your system. So we have a lot of people internally using these, and we really expect good things out of this. When we get to the developer section, we'll talk about how they're extensible as well using FrontPage. So again, very cool stuff for teams, not only to send for review, collaborating on documents, but also the team websites around OWS and the SharePoint server that we've created.
So Anders, real quick on this too, is this editable on FrontPage?
Yeah, absolutely it is. So if we wanted to change something here, we could actually just go ahead and select this FrontPage icon and say Edit with FrontPage. And what will happen is FrontPage will actually load this up, let me change any kind of documents or any kind of features I wanted on this, the most common one being logos and things like that. And I could just save it right back out, and it would work perfect. So what we're really expecting is that a lot of people will actually take this as a starting point and then customize it for their own need.
So what I get with SharePoint is I get an out-of-the-box site already up and running that I can go populate. But if I wanted to further customize that, I can go pop it up in FrontPage and be able to quickly, if I wanted to change that GIF or just move things around. Or
yeah, exactly. So if we want to just change this,
theme.
we could just move it down here, let's say, something arbitrary, or move it right there, let's say. So you'd see it would change. If I went ahead and I save this, I'll just save it right back out. If I go ahead and close out, if I hit refresh, this should work. So you can see that page has changed. So it's really, in fact, there's a lot of sites. The Sundown site is actually using this. A lot of the internal sites. We're getting an enormous amount of interest in this. So I actually encourage everybody out there, if you're setting up virtual teams or doing some things, to go ahead and try this.
So is there? I heard of a site though. Is it TeamSpace where I can go out and actually set one of these up?
Yeah, TeamSpace. Teamspace is the ITG provisioning tool. So if anybody out there wanted to do that, you should just go to HTTP Teamspace. You can go ahead and set one up. ITG is hosting these all for us, backing them up. And in fact, the infrastructure to actually provision these will be part of the Office Resource Kit as well, so that our enterprise customers that want to manage these intranet sites can go ahead and leverage the work that we've done with ITG. So it's great. You can even see down here we've actually had, we're using the infrastructure to actually have some postings there and some comments. So Teamspace is great. I love it. It's really really impressive to see the number of people that are using these now.
Great. Okay, so just to kind of go back and summarize some of that is that, again, we've made tremendous investments with Office 10 in the teaming area. As you can see, just with email-based collaboration and the way that we interact with sending a document around for review and the features there. Also, you did notice that we've changed the way that for revisions, the way that revision marks are put into the document. They're no more in line. They're actually out in the margin, which makes it easier for you to read the document and then see the changes down on the right margin of things that have happened. And then finally, the OWS, or the SharePoint technology for out-of-the-box websites that people can get up and running quickly with collaboration sites. So what I'd like to do now is move on to talk about organizations and some of the technologies that we have in place here. Anders showed you for individuals, he showed you kind of an example with Excel where he created a stock quote page and went out to a Yahoo site and was able to clip in some stock data. But he also showed you how that you can actually bind that data to Excel so that it's refreshable. It was a web query. It could be set up to be refreshed every 30 seconds or what have you on that. So one of the big areas that we looked at too is being able to really create richly bound data solutions for the web. So there's technologies there that we'll talk about. Some of those take advantage of XML as well. There are a whole new set of developer tools that we can talk through a little bit. And also, I mentioned this early on, is about Office Designer, which is a new tool we have for creating web parts and for creating front ends to Exchange architectures and take advantage of those. So for organizations, we've made some good investments there around those types of technologies, and then technologies that we launched in Office 2000 around deployment and administration. We've actually built those tools out. We've learned a lot through when we introduced those new deployment technologies, the Custom Installation Wizard in 2000. We learned a lot about how those got rolled out and how they were effective in helping companies with deploying large-scale implementations of Office 2000. But we also learned how to make those much more robust and easier for the IT people to use. So we've made investments in those. We have a maintenance wizard. We have profilers. So just a whole slew of new tools there. And I talked a little bit earlier about Dr. Watson and the reliability things and data recovery. So a lot of really good improvements for IT on tools that we had and some new tools that we'll be offering Office 10. So again, instead of talking through this, I would just like to spend more time just demoing the product and showing you some of these. So I'm going to turn it again over to Anders.
Great, thanks. So the features in Office for developers, really kind of the core technologies, is an area that I'm super excited about. In Office 2000, and actually before Office 2000, really in Office 97, really our major opportunity with developers was around VBA, Visual Basic Applications, and COM add-ins, right? Making DLLs that you could actually put into the Office infrastructure to extend them. With this release, we have basically stepped up what we've done for developers, and includes things like XML, like smart tags. We have a whole new product called Office Designer. So it's very exciting, and there's a number of different scenarios that I'll try to cover here very, very quickly. Again, we won't cover everything specifically. We're not going to have a lot right now on Office Web Components or Access, but those will be covered in full over the next few months. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the extensible smart tag infrastructure. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back and open up our AdventureWorks European expansion document, and go ahead and see if we can get that open. And one of the things that show the original here so we lose that. So one of the things that we've actually done is we've made that smart tag infrastructure, or really that ability to recognize a term and then provide some action. So remember how we actually recognized that that was a cut and paste from Yahoo, and the actions there were create a web query or actually paste it as is. We've made this completely extensible. So one of the things that I'll try to see if folks can see here, I'll blow this up quite a bit, is down here on this sentence, note fiscal year 01 sales were $12 million. So if you can notice, and it might be hard to see, but there's a underline underneath this $12 million mark. And if I hover over that, that tells me it's a smart tag. So if I hover over that, I get some custom UI. So this is a custom smart tag that has actually been built for this environment. Before I actually show you that, I'll show you how this manifests itself. So if I go into autocorrect options and I click on the smart tag, you'll see that there's a few here. Actually, there's 4. There's recognizing people's names, and then there's recent Outlook email recipients. I'll also notice that there's one here that's been registered called Yahoo Currency. So the scenario here is potentially Yahoo would want to create something that would recognize currency in documents and provide some web service or some action to take against that currency. So if I go over here and I actually go back to my $signs, I go ahead and I click on this, I can see that this has actually now been recognized as currency. And it says that this is currency, $12,292. So in this case, the actions, or the things that Yahoo has actually created for me to do when that's recognized, is in this case just convert. So as you can imagine, they have a service on their website that lets you convert. So I'm going to go ahead and convert this to euro. What will happen is that actual DLL, that action, goes out. It will automate Internet Explorer, navigate to that page, and pass the right parameter so that I can actually see exactly what that dollar amount is in a euro. So you can imagine the scenarios that can come up. Another very interesting one we have that I'll just do right here is any kind of commerce scenarios. So in theory, I think Nostromo should be recognized as a book. So here you saw that bn.com book list smart tag. So in this case, Barnes & Noble, for instance, may have potentially created a smart tag using our API and our SDK and gotten that down to my machine, potentially because I'm a good customer. They wanted to enhance my Office 10 experience. They gave me the list of their most popular books, and their action now is to buy this book. So in this case, we're simply, again, navigating out to the internet. I've gone right to Barnes & Noble, right to the book Nostromo that I can now actually purchase if I wanted to. So really anything that has any kind of format. In our case, you could think about, we've talked about the Microsoft 3-letter acronyms. You know, we're thinking about creating a smart tag that would recognize those acronyms that we use every place, but often people don't know what they are. And then the opportunity there is to then navigate someone to a website that contains the information about what those 3-letter acronyms really are. So you can imagine things, we're working with partners to recognize legal citations. So when a lawyer opens up a document, they're very interested in seeing the citations. Well, at that point, they're always interested if those have been overturned. So one of our partners is going to actually be working with us to provide those actions for their actual services, and they have all that information. So we're just helping them connect that to the Word document the lawyer might have open. Any kind of vertical market, SEC codes. We've thought about the pharmaceutical industry and all the different codes and documentation around that. So this is an area where we're really trying to get partners and developers to go ahead and extend these smart tags to produce them either for inside their own corporation based on their own internal processes, or frankly to go ahead and try to create interesting new business models around this. So a couple quick questions on this is the security model on this is basically much like any other COM-DLL that you'd want to download to the user's machine. So there's not explicitly any Active Directory integration into these actions, although there is definitely the opportunity to be smart. It essentially is just a COM object. So to the extent we can program that in that COM object, it'll work. But this is really an area that we're very excited about exposing to developers when they actually go out and build their custom Office solutions.
So Anders, for IT, these can be controlled too for what gets put on a user's desktop.
Sure, absolutely.
Way they can figure and okay.
Yeah, and you do that just essentially as you would any other particular piece of software, okay, for all intents and purposes. But some very cool scenarios that really bring Office into kind of what it really means, brings it into a new light. Another area that I'd like to talk about here is XML. So for the first time, Office 10 will natively support XML for both Access and Excel. So what this means is that custom Access and custom Excel applications can actually not only source XML or send XML to a particular source, but it can also receive XML. So to prove this, just a very simple example, all I'm going to do is, you'll actually see I have, I'll try to open this up a little bit. You'll see I just have a very simple web page here with in Excel with 3 stock tickers and just a short little table. So for the first time, if I say File, Save As, you'll see all the standard opportunities to save, but here we see XML spreadsheet. So XML spreadsheet is the XML representation of that actual Excel spreadsheet. So it's not just the data, but it's also the properties of that spreadsheet are embedded. So we'll take a look at that, but you can imagine that we'd have to represent how wide the columns are, if there's any kind of formatting on cells, what's the formulas behind those cells. So all that content gets manifested in this XML schema that the Excel team has created to effectively represent in an XML format, well-defined W3C compliant format that you can then manipulate. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to save this to my desktop as XML test. Go ahead and we'll save that. And we navigate back out to the desktop. We'll see that right here we have XML test. So again, we saved that from Excel, but it's just native XML. So if I open that up, we'll get a good look at what that looks like. Now you have to remember that embedded in this schema is all the properties associated with that. So it will look a little overwhelming to a certain extent because we have to get all those properties in there. But if I scroll down, in the simplest form, Excel now follows its workbook, table, row, cell, data hierarchy. So here was the stock, the ticker, Microsoft, MSFT, Dell, so on and so forth. So again, the real point here is in the simplest format is to let everybody know that for the first time, Excel and Access, to a certain extent Office, can get on that XML superhighway. So we're doing a lot of work with the other products, specifically some of our e-commerce products, .NET Server products like BizTalk, to make sure that we have a great integration story between Office as a front end, submitting XML, things like custom Excel templates, to those particular .NET servers. So the key, though, is once it's in XML, you can do whatever you want with it. A very simple example we have here that you can imagine is, if I go back up and go over here to a home page that I've mocked up, let's assume that I'm working with a supplier. In this case, it'll be a company called Outdoor Supplies. So remember, I'm with AdventureWorks, and let's say I want to order some tent liner or something like that, and I go to their public web page. One of the things, and we're actually working with people now to do this, is we could go to their partner page, and if we wanted to place an order, I could go ahead and download a purchase order and potentially just fax it. But one of the opportunities would be, if we were using Office 10, to go ahead and just do our order from Office 10. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click this to start my order. And what this will actually do is open up an Excel spreadsheet right here in the browser. And so you can see that this has been a custom spreadsheet. So they've actually taken, in theory, they could take advantage of the richness that Excel gives with a lot of the logic that it provides, a lot of the calculations. And you can see here that we've protected this worksheet. So I pre-populated some of this, but let's say I wanted to order a tent liner. I wanted to get about 100 of these, and the price, let's say, was $99. So you can see that here we've used some smart things with Excel. We've used the actual ability to do drop-down boxes. We could put in a card number here, so I'm just going to put in the 16 digits. And you can see that here I didn't put in 16, so it actually says, no, you need to put in 16 digits. I can go back and just try that again. In theory, that should work. And then you can see we have the totals down below. You know, really the point of this is saying that now at this point we really have Excel kind of as a front end. So what I have here is this Submit to Outdoor Supplies button. So before I click that, I'll show you what's behind this VBA. So if I go into the VBA editor, you can see that what is actually behind that click event is simply saving this XML payload to a certain location. So in this case, I'm saving this workbook. In this case, I'm just saving it right to my local drive, but you can imagine that going to an Exchange public server, potentially a BizTalk server, anything that could essentially sync XML. We could do an HTTP post from here to an ASP page, anything like that. And the key here is that the file format I'm saying is actually XML spreadsheet. So I'll go ahead and I'll get out of this. Oops, I think I got all the way out of it. Here we go. And if I go ahead and I click on this, it'll ask me, do I want to continue saving it? I'll click yes. I'll overwrite the file. And then now it says that my order was submitted. So at this point, we've actually really taken XML from Excel and pushed that to a certain location. So what I've done just to prove that is I've written a short little, what I'm calling a wrapper application that simply will expose that XML. So here's our XML file, which was just that data I entered. I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to show what that looks like. Now again, because there's a lot of properties embedded in that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see quite a long Excel or XML file. So here's the raw XML. So again, there's a lot of properties. I'm going to actually scroll all the way down to the key point here, which is, here's our actual data. So you can see right here is name, Anders Brown, company, AdventureWorks. There's some of the interesting data we had in there. And just to prove that we're doing this live, here's a tent liner that I ordered. I ordered 100 at a quantity of $99. So again, it's in XML at this point, so any kind of style sheet can go ahead and grab this. What we've done is I've actually shown that. So let's say we take this XML file. Very quickly, we could convert this to HTML. So just applying the right kind of style sheet to this. And so now you can see our data here. Remember, I'd selected MasterCard, and here's our card number. So again, transferring Excel XML to excuse me, HTML. What you might want to do, though, is actually, let's say that Outdoor Supplies had a generic SAP system, that they had a purchase order representation. Maybe it's the BizTalk representation of purchase order. You can actually, again, transfer this XML to a generic PO XML. So again, here's a much more shorter, potentially more user-friendly, or at least more broader representation of that data. You can see here's the tent liner, here's the quantity is 100, and here's the price is 99. So again, all that work was simply done just using style sheets, Visual InterDev, and transforming the XML that Excel generated into a new format based on the style sheet that we wanted to write. So we really believe that from a developer and customization perspective for both Access and Excel, this opens up a whole new realm of possibilities for us. The final thing that I wanted to touch on very quickly was a completely new tool called Office Designer. And while this is actually booting up here, it may take a few minutes. We'll go ahead and just talk a little bit about what Office Designer is. Office Designer is a completely new development tool that we've built, and it's in Office 10, and it's based on the Visual Studio.NET shell. So we effectively have worked with Visual Studio to manifest that shell and that IDE into a new environment. This tool is been conceived and has been developed for building collaborative applications against the web storage system. So many of you are aware that the web storage system actually brings a lot of great technologies to the table. It can store, virtually as an object store. It has an HTTP server in there, so you can actually serve up web pages. There's obviously some workflow engine, and there's a workflow tool that goes along with that. So we're very excited about this tool, and effectively we built it to allow people to quickly and easily build those collaborative applications against the web storage system. So here's Office Designer. You see that it starts to look a little bit like Visual Studio.NET. I'm going to go File, New, Web Application. So the first thing that this will ask me is, where do I actually want to put this web application? And so at this point, I could actually choose any location that had an Exchange public folder sitting on it that was Exchange 2000. And what this will do is that will set up all the properties once I choose that. What I'm doing actually here is I'm just going to actually build a new application against my local web storage cache, and I'll call it my app 01. I'll go ahead and you see here we're actually creating templates so you could actually jumpstart an application. So a digital dashboard, an issue tracking, some kind of a workflow application. So we'll be promoting these templates and adding new templates online as well. But right here we're shipping a few in the actual application itself. So this is going to go ahead and set up all the resources, all the views, all the right things to actually start this project with Microsoft Office Designer. So again, it's all about creating these web applications against the web storage system. Here you can see that the Project Explorer now shows me my opportunities. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a web page. So again, this is leveraging Exchange 2000 as a web server. and all the good things that brings with it. And again, we'll have a full, I'm just showing you the top here, we'll have a full session on this as we move forward. So I'll go ahead and I'll just say my first OD, Office Designer, web app, the standard hello world. So we can go ahead and we can do that. What we can do is actually then go ahead and simply view that. So just to show you what this looks like, this will actually view this in Outlook. Outlook's the default web page viewer, but you could actually change this and do whatever you'd like with it. So this should now come up in Outlook. So here what you can do is you can build some interesting Outlook applications leveraging this. The one thing that Office Designer does is it also gives developers flexibility in two ways. One is you can set, and we'll actually show this, you can set pages to be the default pages for certain devices and for certain languages. So here you can see that I simply just served up my first little web page there, nothing too exciting. If I wanted to go ahead and add another web page, we just call that page 2, and I'd go ahead and just call that page 2 here very simply. I could actually go ahead and say, right-click here, and we have this option called registration. So what I could do is I could actually select that this page is a substitute for page 1. So remember we had page 1, which was actually the default, and we have page 2 here. So you can see that I could actually set this as a default for any type of browser. Right? So primarily focusing obviously on Internet Explorer and Netscape. So if for some reason you wanted a different user experience when someone came to the site with Internet Explorer 3.0 or Netscape Navigator, you could actually change that. Likewise, we'll have Pocket PC supported as well. So if you wanted to create a web application with Pocket PC, you could do that. Or you could actually do it with different languages. So here, and this is a great feature for developers because it avoids having to put the logic in internally, we could say that really, if we wanted to have that be the default page, if somebody was using the Danish version of Internet Explorer, then by and large they would then get that page served to them. So really this is just providing that infrastructure to look at the requests coming in and saying which page should we serve up. So saves the developers a lot of work in this case. The other thing I'll point out very quickly is that we're actually using the new HTML editor, so there's some great IntelliSense as well as some great color coding there that we get that will also manifest itself in Visual Studio. And then we also have a number of pre-canned actions, so deleting items. You can imagine a list where you'd want to delete them, closing items, just a lot of things that we've done on behalf of the developer to really focus on getting these guys up and running quickly on the web store. So we talked a lot about this at the Microsoft Exchange conference, and again, we'll get a whole session on this moving forward, but it's definitely a great opportunity for Microsoft to really push Exchange 2000 as a great platform that can integrate very well with the other products that Microsoft has. So again, the things we didn't cover were Access. We'll have a whole session on that at some point over the next few weeks. And then Office Web Components, we've done a lot of great stuff there when it comes to customization. And then the things we did cover were XML, Smart Tags, and Office Designer. So we really think for one of the first times, there's some new technologies in here that are really going to get developers very, very excited. So with that, I'll turn it back to Jeff.
Great, thanks, Anders. The Office Designer tool, that's really cool. It's a great environment to go out to Exchange sites and work with the new technology there as well. So what I want to do now is switch gears a little bit, but before I do that, I just want to go back and just reiterate a few things. Again, Office 10 around individuals, a lot of intuitive discoverability things we've done there, a lot of ease of use issues that we've resolved, reliability and things like that. And again, as Anders and I have been reiterating, is that this is just a really high-level overview session. Each one of these technologies, each of the products we'll drill down into over the next month and a half. For Teams, we showed a little bit of OWS. I encourage you to go out to TeamSpace, provision yourself an OWS or a SharePoint site, and begin to use it and learn it. It's a really great, compelling technology. And ITG has been great in supporting us in rolling that out and supporting people to go out and do trial today. And then again, the document annotations and the send for review technology through email makes the teaming environment very, very robust and a nice place for people to, or nice technologies for people to set up great collab sites. And then finally, with organizations, we showed a lot on some of the tools and some of the development. We didn't show anything on the deployment or the admin tools, But again, we'll do those in future sessions coming down where we'll go review each one of those tools, and we'll talk about deployment in a little bit more depth and give you a lot more insights around that. So I'm going to switch gears now and just talk about another area that we've invested in. It's called the TSP Portal. And what we're doing there is we launched this at MTB. We're the first product out there to have a site. And if you go out to our site, you'll actually see it's a SharePoint site. So it's SharePoint technology. I'm going to see if I can pull it up on this machine real quick and just give you a demonstration. But the site is really focused on building a community where we can provide input to TSPs in the field, especially who are supporting Office technologies. And you'll see, and I'll show you the things that we'll have out there today, but we'll make sure that we get relevant content out there, that we keep it fresh. As we go through, one of the areas that my team particularly is focused on is a rapid deployment program. But one of the interesting things we're doing this time with the rapid deployment program is we're taking about 5 to 8 of our key customers, and we're actually going into in with them on building a really compelling Office 10 solution. So being able to go find a pretty hard business problem they're trying to solve, and being able to go in through some of the technologies that Anders showed under the organizational piece, but be able to go in and show them how to build really good solutions using Office 10. And from that, we'll be able to extract out great content, potentially code samples, solution templates, project templates, demos, etc. And again, we'll make all that available out in TSP Portal as soon as we start getting some of that information in. And again, part of it is the distance learning that we're doing now. We want to make sure that we give you as much insight on the product as we can. So we'll be working through EKM Countdown, and we'll make sure that we'll get a schedule out on TSP Portal so you know when some of the events are. But I really want to switch gears real quick and just show you TSP Portal. If you haven't been out there yet, I encourage you to go out there. But under future products, we have Office 10, and got a little welcome page. But if you click on that, you'll end up going into our portal site. Uh-oh. Let me go back and see what's going on here. Well, do a refresh. You should have went into our portal site. Well, it looks like it might be down right now. But what I wanted to show you is that all the things that we've put out there, we basically have tons of links to relevant or other relevant Office 10 sites for you to go out and look at. We've put a lot of content out there already. We have this presentation. We have a demo script. We have materials that we did at MTB out there. We also have information on our RDP program and just other relevant information that we have been producing over the last month. I know Anders has actually put sample smart tags out there that you can actually incorporate into some of your demos and actually play with. So encourage you to go out there, encourage you to go out and look at it, and give us feedback as well. We have an area where you can actually let us know who you are and then provide us feedback. So finally, I kind of want to end this is just quickly talking about engaging with customers as we move forward. We're all encouraged to continue to sell and move Office 2000 forward. It's a great technology. A lot of our customers are either beginning or in the middle of deployments. So it's a great product. We want to continue to make sure that they're successful with it and they move forward with it. And so a few just notes on that, a few rules of thumb. We've been a little bit in what I would call a reactive mode with Office 10 right now. We haven't been proactive in marketing it forward for obvious reasons. One is we want to make sure that people stay focused on Office 2000 and can move that technology forward. But as you begin to engage and as Office 10 kind of sneaks out into the public sector and people become more aware of this product, it's just rules of thumb right now is to just a new enterprise agreement sales. It's an opportunity potentially to go and do an Office 10 demo if that will help close the sale or do an EA renewal. If it'll help fix a competitive situation, it's a great opportunity to go out and talk about Office 10. Our communication timeline right now, again, we've been trying to not be proactive with communication, but more reactive, and there are a few things that we've done over the course of the last couple of months where we've actually been out talking to some analysts, but we've been trying to keep that at a minimum. So we've been trying to minimize as much outward communications as we can right now to the public on Office 10. That will increase, so we'll move more to a proactive approach probably in the second half of our fiscal year. You'll probably start seeing us starting to ramp up January, February, March, so a slow ramp, and then you'll probably see us as we get closer to launch, which is still scheduled for around March, April timeframe, that we'll start being more proactive and a lot more communicative to the public about Office 10. But we'll make sure that between now and then that we get you very well educated on the product. That's part of the distance learning program. That's a big focus around the airlifts that we'll do in February. And again, around the TSP portal, just making sure we can get as much knowledge out there to you as possible. So with that, I think we're ready to take questions.
Actually, there's not any questions at this time, surprisingly. You guys did a great job of covering it all. So if you guys just want to wrap it up, and we'll continue to monitor it offline and pick up what comes in.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I just appreciate the time and the opportunity to be able to do this. And again, this is a webcast, so it's a file that will be out there for other people to go watch and just kind of get a high-level overview of Office 10. Again, this presentation, along with the demo script and again, some smart tags that Anders has put out, is all available on TSP Portal. So you can get that and start being able to go out and engage with customers as you see fit. And then just look for our webcast. We're finalizing our list right now, but look for our webcast between now and through the course of up to about January. We'll have a number of webcasts out there that drill down on very specific aspects of the product, technologies, and the core applications themselves. So
that's it. Just encourage everybody to be looking for partners and interesting business solutions. And if you have those, send them to either Jeff or I, because that's going to be a core focus for us. So thanks for your time.